Hello and welcome back to art class. Today is week 2 of the treehouse project. Last week we practiced making 3D prisms or 3D boxes, depending on how you wanted to look at them. In fact, I have my example sheet right here. You can see, I had 4 on one side and 3 on the other. And you had, when you're working on it, we had 2-point perspectives, which is 2 vanishing points, one on each side, so you can see one side here and one side here. We're going to continue on and actually use that practice for an actual drawing now that you should have some experience with it. You are going to need 2 pieces of paper because this requires a bit of room to do, and we're actually going to need to glue them together so it becomes one large piece of paper. So you are going to need 2 pieces of paper, a glue, eraser, pencil, and a ruler. Ruler is best. You could get away with probably doing a straight edge, but for today I am going to give some specific measurements because I think that would make things easier for some people. All right, so just on the edge here I'm going to put some little tiny dots. And I'm going to use the nozzle, smooth it out so there's nothing bumpy. And you're going to want to let that sit for probably about 15-20 minutes so that glue is dry. You want to use as little glue as possible because you want it to stick. If you have a large piece of paper, you could, some of you have big sketch pads, you don't have to glue a piece of paper. You could just use the big sketch pad. I do this because most people have white paper at home for sure. All right, I'll set this aside and we'll be back. Okay, mine is now dried and we're ready to get started. I don't need the glue anymore, so I can just set that off to the side. And your paper's actually gonna go up and down. And just the other thing we're gonna need to do is I would like us to actually fold this in half. And right where the fold is, there's actually some glue, so you're gonna have to be extremely careful when you're folding it. So don't rush the fold. You don't have to smash it down, I just need to know exactly where the middle is. Okay, so now I know where the middle is. I'm just gonna smooth it out, because I got this right here. I wanna put a vanishing point over here on the middle fold, and you can even put a little VP right there. And you're gonna wanna put a vanishing point over on this side, right on that fold line, and put a VP as well. So you are remembering that is the vanishing point. Okay, next, we're gonna start with building the treehouse. We'll deal with the tree after we have already put in our rectangle. So it's really kind of weird. Normally in real life, obviously you'd have to have the tree first and then you build around the tree. In this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the buildings in first and then put the tree in to fit. Okay, so we're gonna want a tree or a tree house building here close to the top. You're gonna pick the zone, so I just need it to be pretty darn close to the top. It should not actually touch the top, but just close. And I would like it to be around 3 inches long, not 3 centimeters. Centimeters is too short and it just comes to a problem. So somewhere close to 3 inches tall. It does not have to be. Let's say I'm gonna go with about 2.5, so that's close enough. 2.5 inches tall. You could go all the way to 3. Any bigger than 3 and it might be actually too big. All right, so we're gonna do an up and down line, straight up and down. This is the corner of the building. All right, then I'm gonna go to the vanishing point. Now, as we've gotten some practice with this, I'm gonna draw the lines lined up with the vanishing point, but since I know I'm not actually drawing the building going all the way to the vanishing point, I am not gonna draw and waste your time or my time going all the way to the vanishing point. I'm just gonna make sure it lines up, and then I'm gonna draw what I think I might use, okay? And I'm gonna do a match on the bottom on both sides, so this vanishing point, this vanishing point. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to do a match on the top. So the top's got to go to the vanishing point. Like that. Okay. Next, we need the ends, the sides to end. So they need to go straight up now. That's a big thing with the ruler. Don't be doing this where you're just connecting the ends. That is not straight up and down. Make sure your ruler is actually straight up and down, and then just erase the extra. Okay, I have the sides of my building done, but I do not have the bottom, so I need to do that next. That's connecting, that's where you have that crisscross happening. Remember from our practicing, we're crisscrossing. So this corner goes to this vanishing point, this corner ends up going to this vanishing point. They're going to crisscross. So I line it up. I'm gonna draw close, to what I think I might need. Then I'm gonna go to the other side. They crisscross, and then I can just erase the extra. Okay, then I'm my building. Then I'm gonna need another building over here. So if you have one over here, then you're gonna need to adjust to being over here. Okay? If you have a building over here, then you need to you just don't want them touching each other. It just makes things more difficult. And you're gonna want them roughly about the same size. So I had about 2.5 inches. That means my next one needs to be about 2.5 inches tall, because you got to be able to, the same person's got to be able to fit in each of these. So the height wouldn't really change. I do the bottom with a crisscross. All right, I'm going to do a third building. This one is going to be part of the line is going to be above the fold, part of the line is going to be below the fold. Okay, so a little bit needs to be above, a little bit needs to be below, and you need to kind of figure out where it's going to fit best in that area. And again, it needs to be the same size up and down line that you used before. Now, if you notice, this one, last one that we did, doesn't have a bottom to do because it's right at the level of the vanishing point. So it's just like that very first one I had you practice last week, is you can't see the top or bottom on it. Now we're only gonna do 3 because otherwise it gets too crowded, there's no room for the tree. Okay, so just go in, make sure you kind of touch up where your eraser marks need to be done. Okay. Then the next thing, we need to figure out the tree itself. We need a tree trunk. So we want the tree trunk to be pretty much center on the paper. And it should be probably about at least 3 finger spaces thick. Because otherwise it's not, thick enough. The trunk itself wouldn't look thick enough to hold up your tree house or buildings. Now we're not going with a pine tree, we're going with a traditional deciduous or leafy tree. And when the branches split, like here, the branch is going to split off to the side and go inside this building. How do I make it look like it goes inside the building? Well, a branch is actually round, so we'd have to cut a round piece of a hole out of it. I'd also have to erase anything that's behind the tree, so some of my lines may get erased. Then I can have a branch coming out. And again, you'd have to cut a round hole around it to get it to work. And my tree has split twice, so I'm gonna have like that. So it's coming out and then splitting like that. In this particular one, I am just going to have some branches that are actually behind everything. They're not even actually going into any of the buildings. And then I need one that's going to come up this way. When my branches split, they kind of have that Y or a V shape, some people might say. So I'm going to keep my leaves actually very simple, just kind of that cloud shape. Go in and erase anything that needs to be erased. It takes a little bit of time to do that. You'll find that you'll have little spots in different areas where, you know, your line for the treehouse was actually going through the tree. You need to fix that. Okay. Work on that, and then I also want you to work on down here. We'll deal with finishing up the tree houses next week. There's a little bit of windows and doors I want to go over, and then there's coloring. Coloring is very simple. I don't have much to go over with that. But we do need a ground line or a horizon line, and I don't want it right underneath the tree. It should actually go behind the tree. And your background is kind of up to you. So do you want your tree to be in the woods? So are there other trees in the background? Are you in the mountains? Are you in the desert? Is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Is it sunset? Are you in a backyard? All those different things you need to kind of think about what you want to do. If you just want to keep it simple, you can, where, you know, like maybe this is just a simple fence. Like that. And then, you know, keep it very simple. Maybe you want to add a little bit more detail to the... And you also want a way to get into the treehouse. So if you plan to have a door on this side, then maybe you'll have your rope ladder or your rope knots. Maybe you'll have a rope swing. And maybe you'll have, I'm putting a lot of ideas on here just to give you guys ideas. You could have actual steps. Like if you wanted like boards nailed into the tree, you could draw those. But they would probably want to line up with the vanishing point. That would make the most sense, which can slow you down a little bit. Take that boards letting in the tree. There's lots of different things. So when you need to get the buildings done, and then you need to get your picture pretty much laid out. That is your goal today. 3 shapes. Make sure everything's lined up to the vanishing point. Use your ruler. Trying to cheat this one and kind of, sort of, maybe getting close to the vanishing point, it will look terrible. You have to get these lines perfectly to each dot each and every time. So you can't kind of sort of half do it. It's either you do it right or you don't. It's kind of like a math problem at this point. The background, that one has a little bit more flexibility as to what you do, but the actual 3D shapes are really important to get done right. All right, I'll leave you with that. Take a photo of this, upload it to Google Classroom, and I will see you next week, probably to finish this if we have time.